We are streaming. We will see when it tells me we're online. Hold on one sec. We're live. All right, guys. I just wanted to do an update for you, let you guys know that there is some breaking news involving Suge Knight and specifically at this point in time, Toyline Kelly, along with his attorney. I have with me here Mr. RJ Bond. RJ,
Greetings, everybody.
how you doing, boss? So what's the latest news on the Suge Knight case? I just seen today that it appears that Toyline Kelly has been indicted.
She has. She has been indicted for a couple different things. Basically, what she has been indicted for at this point is taking the tape that everybody's seen of Tams, the footage of the shooting at Tams, and selling it to TMZ, which is interesting to me because TMZ, for all of the scoop that they get on shit, this TMZ hasn't said boo about it. So big problems for TMZ as well. But apparently, Toyline Kelly sold the video footage of the Tams shooting that she had gotten from David Kenner or through David Kenner, and she took that footage and she sold that footage to TMZ for $55,000. Now, apparently, at this point, I mean, the sale of this happened a couple of years ago. So you have to kind of ask yourself, okay, why now? Why now? All of a sudden, is a grand jury trying to get her and Mark Blankenship? Mark Blankenship is a business partner of hers and Suge's. He kind of handles a lot of their, licensing and money transactions and that. And I think I can't prove this, but I think that he's part of the way Suge keeps money out of the public spotlight. That's not a legal thing. That's just what he does. Anyway, they are being accused of conspiring to sell a videotape that nobody knew, but apparently they knew was actually sealed. The judge in the court sealed that videotape. That videotape of Tams was never supposed to be seen by the public. It was supposed to be sealed and used at time of trial to build a case against Suge Knight. Well, for 2 years now, TMZ had it. They bought it. They've aired it. Everybody's seen it. Everybody knows what's going on with it. So at the end of the day, Jess, I mean, their chain is being yanked over something that happened 2 years ago. So immediately the question becomes why? Why now?
I would make the same point with the allegations that he threatened F. Gary Gray. That allegation is coming out now. It would make me think that possibly the L.A. County doesn't think that it has a good enough case on
Well, we
Suge
said
Knight.
that. Yeah, we said that last time. We said when the F. Gary Gray stuff came out, that's what we said. I said that the DA's case has a turd that won't flush right now. They're interviewing new witnesses. They're interviewing people that, not new witnesses, but witnesses that were around there at the time. And witnesses' stories are changing, and people's minds are getting a little foggier. And maybe there wasn't quite the gravy train to ride off of the fact that you were a witness in that incident. And people just stop wanting to talk because not even a month ago, Suge Knight and his attorney were being accused of bribing witnesses and paying for witnesses. And, he's got witness tampering and witness bribery charges that the DA is considered filing. They haven't filed them yet, but they're considering doing that. Ultimately what's happening is the DA is watching this case just fall apart right in front of them. And sadly and unfortunately, we talked about this before. If you remember, Jess, that I said that the DA picked the murder one case. It could have been involuntary manslaughter, it could have been vehicular manslaughter. They took the top highest bar to cross. And when they didn't, and now, and like I said, that's an incredibly high standard burden of proof. So, and we said that, 2 months ago. Now here we are. The DA is watching its case fall apart, my opinion, and they throw the F. Gary Gray on there as well. But what's interesting though is that you want to talk about the child situation of this, Jesse. Maybe you could add some light to that.
Well, with both My inside sources have told me, as of yet, Toyline Kelly, Suge Knight's fiance, is actually still incarcerated. And what happens when you have
Well, she's on $2 million bail. I don't think she's getting out soon.
And what happens is when you have both parents that are on the birth certificate, both parents incarcerated, then Department of Children's Services comes in. It doesn't matter if the child is with family, is with a grandparent. When both legal parents are incarcerated, Child Services will step in, and then Child Services will delegate where the child belongs. They will not let that decision be made without them stepping in, and that could be potentially more pressure on Toyline Kelly to maybe perhaps try to flip her or strengthen their case against Suge Knight.
Right. I mean, at any rate, they are doing everything they can to put the pressure on Toyline Kelly now in regards to to Suge's testimony and that. And I really don't know what other leverage they're trying to get on her other than the fact that she might cooperate with them and give them information on the bribery charge that they've done. If she'll turn witness that Suge tried to bribe witnesses, the likelihood of that happening is zero. I don't think she's going to roll over on Suge. But with your kid hanging in the balance and all that, she's going to have to give them something. And they put her bail so high, even though she's not a flight risk, they put her bail at $2 million on a cash bond. That's $200,000 cash. That's a shitload of money to come up with for for bail. I mean, that's not trivial. I mean, when you think about fucking Reggie Wright Jr., Reggie Wright Sr. were brought up on federal indictments for drug trafficking and money laundering, and their bail was only $50,000 fucking dollars. Okay. And but Toyline Kelly sells a videotape to TMZ, and it's $2 million fucking dollar bail. Really? I mean, think about this, guys. I mean, I smell something really stinky here. This is really shitty. Okay, something stinks real bad.
Well, how does TMZ, if TMZ posted the video and paid for the video, how does TMZ get out of this unscathed?
Well, I think that's why they're keeping their damn mouth shut. I bet their lawyers called and said, "You need to keep your mouth shut about this," because they're complicit. I don't think there's any way in the world, after seeing some of the emails or the text messages that went back and forth between TMZ and Toyline Kelly, where they said don't air it because it's under a protective order. The videotape was under protective order, and TMZ knew it. If it's true that TMZ knew it was under a protective order and they paid for it anyway, basically it's receiving stolen property and violating a court order in furtherance. So they're an accessory to this, and that may be the next wave of prosecutions. TMZ's got a lot to think about right now, and it kind of speaks to their reckless journalism, their ambush journalism, and how they do things, that they think that just because they want to get a scoop on something, that they go there, and they've been complicit in a lot of bad press about Suge Knight. And yes, do we have an axe to grind against TMZ? I sure as hell do, because TMZ wanted to put nasty stuff out about Tupac Battle for Compton. We sent them all kinds of information that they could have put out about it. They didn't put anything out about it. In fact, they put out Sharitha Knight saying that they were going to sue us, and so they never even gave us a fair shake. So, I think it's turnabout's fair play. I think these guys are going to finally get what's coming to them. They've been trying to live this whole thing on their terms. TMZ has, and I think they got what's coming to them. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in one thing, and that's simply. Whatever makes them money. They're friends with the police. They're friends with the prosecuting attorney's office. So, I think they've got a lot to think about before they put anything on the air. That's the long answer of that one.
Now, how does this tie in with the rights? Do you think that possibly that all these new cases being brought against Suge would maybe pressure him to want to cooperate with them? What would your take be on that?
Well, I think that the first thing they're trying to do is they're trying to get Suge on anything they can possibly get him on. And so if they can't get him on the murder, they'll try to get him on the witness tampering and the bribery, and that'll put him away for 10 years or whatever. They'll throw the book at him on that. But I do find that the timing of this is very curious because, Suge's trial is not for a while. They've been sitting on these charges here, and they've had enough on Blankenship and Suge Knight and Toyline. They've had the videotape was sold years ago. So they've had plenty of time. You have to ask yourself the question, why now? Why the bribery now? Why that? I mean, we still got months before Suge goes to trial. Why all of this happening now? Why? What's the timing of it? Well, I think the timing of it has a lot to do with Reggie Wright Jr. and the fact that he looks like he may be turning state's evidence against something having to do with drug trafficking and money laundering. And I think that Suge Knight knows a lot about Reggie Wright, knows a lot about what went on during the past times, and maybe even what's been happening recently. People that they know in common, people that they deal with on a regular basis, who the dealers are, who the drug dealers are. All of that information is pertinent, and I'm not sure that they would want Suge Knight to come off and build a better case against Reggie Wright. And we've always talked about that Mexican standoff that two of them have, because they know secrets about each other. So I can't say it's not possible that it isn't tied to Wright, only because of the timing of all of it. I mean, Reggie, cops a secret plea deal, and it doesn't have to do his arraignment for 3 months. Meanwhile, they've got sealed paperwork, sealed indictments, or not indictments, but sealed motions at the federal courtroom. And so now, it's a mess. But at the end of the day, I mean, really, it's Suge Knight and Reggie Wright. And now the DA is watching their case fall apart. And now they're trying to point fingers at who to blame for that. And they're going to blame Toyline for that, for releasing that Tams tape. Although it's interesting, because I really don't know what probative value that tape really has. I mean, it shows the incident there. But, I mean, there are other videotapes of that. And I think it was the Suge's attorney that said that, hey, we're just trying to solicit all the videotapes. Anybody that had a cell phone, camera phone, anybody that might have taken a video of the incident, we're just trying to get as much video as we can. So I'm not even sure that the sale of the video is pretty damning. But I'm not sure, because that's why they haven't moved on the attorney. I'm not sure that the witness bribery thing is going to hold unless they can get Toyline Kelly to flip on Suge.
And you can see, if you read the indictment, which I will post down below when this is archived, but if you read the indictment, it does bring up David Kenner, and it does bring up the exchanges that Toy was having with TMZ. And from first glance appearance, what it appears would be is that they did want that video out for the public to view and the public to see. I guess the beef that is coming with the indictment was that evidence was sealed, and that's why they're
Right.
being charged for selling the tape. But it's kind of one of those double-edged swords. If you have sealed evidence as an attorney and you feel that it validates your client, it shows that he's not guilty, that he was being attacked, and it's under seal. It appears that they tried to, in my opinion, try it in the court of public opinion, and it looks like Los Angeles is not having that.
Yeah, and to the point, somebody said that Mark Blankenship's a good dude. I don't know Mark. I don't know. He may very well be a good dude. I mean, I was just saying that I think they call him a business associate. I think that they just keep his money off to the side, and that's kind of how how Suge keeps money rolling in for his family and his friends, and that was all I was saying. So I don't know about him. I don't know if he's a good dude or bad dude.
But I just
Let's
want
see.
to
Question.
opine in. This is the biggest miscarriage of justice I've ever seen. I mean, if you've ever seen motive for a county court or a state to want to put someone under the jail, take a look at what's going on with Suge Knight right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is just insane. The fact that they have him on a questionable murder case anyway. I mean, circumstantially, and that's why they didn't want that videotape out, because any kind of a defense that can be built on that he was panicked or that this wasn't premeditated. I mean, that's the thing you guys got to understand. They're trying to bag him on premeditated murder, that he actually set out ahead of time and thought about that he was going to kill these people. So any kind of a reactionary or emotional response or any kind of a knee-jerk reaction would defeat that and frustrate that murder case. So they can't. They absolutely have to do that, and that's why they're keeping that tape under wraps. I mean, even on Tupac187.blogspot.com, I did a big write-up article on it with freeze frames of the location and positioning of the vehicles and all that. I didn't know it was sealed, and that's interesting that they're just now bringing this out. I would have thought the minute that thing dropped, somebody would have screamed out in outrage that it was sealed information. 2 years ago, and only now they're starting to bring it up. So, I mean, again, this is clearly a case of the DA's office, and I remember hearing Michael talking about having a meeting with Dave Demersion, who's one of the prosecutors there at the LA County Prosecutor's Office. And, whenever we'd bring up something about Suge Knight, he goes, we finally got that guy. We finally got him. Well, I think that's a common thing that's going on right now with the prosecutor's office. They have Suge Knight. But again, I've never seen a worse case of somebody being prosecuted because they're throwing the book at him now for what they couldn't do earlier. So, the county prosecutor's office is impotent in terms of getting anything on Suge Knight. They can't get him for anything else, and they turn around and they start doing this stuff. So, again, do they have him did the rights on that? Yeah, she shouldn't have sold the tape. I mean, if it was sealed evidence, she shouldn't have sold the tape. I mean, but I kind of wonder, and this kind of makes me wonder. I mean, you got Greg Kading sitting out there with all kinds of witness tapes and interviews that were done, that police records that should have never seen the light of day. They see the light of day. He puts them in a book and sells the book, and all of a sudden, and he's not being prosecuted for anything. Why not? I mean, if information that's supposed to be confidential and part of an investigation, even though in that case the judge said this is a sealed videotape, okay, but they're talking about how they're obstructing justice. Well, how is it not obstructing justice when Greg Kading takes Keith Davis's interview tape from an interview that he did that was supposed to be part of a proffer session? It's supposed to be kept under wraps, and he's putting that stuff out publicly. So I kind of wonder about the double standard that's happening here. Why is it that Toyline Kelly is being thrown with a $2 million bail against her for selling a videotape? Okay, at the end of the day, selling a videotape, and that they consider to be evidence. I just think it's terrible.
And for anybody out there that thinks that this is really about justice, take a look at Cat Williams and his part of the robbery case involving the paparazzi with Suge Knight. Cat Williams, and no offense to Cat, I love Cat Williams, but he's been arrested 15, 16 times in the last 2 years. And the resolution of the case with the robbery for Cat was a slap on the wrist. But they're going full bore on Suge Knight.
Yeah, and again, this to bring everybody back up to speed. If you're not there, Toyline Kelly, who was Suge Knight's fiance or girlfriend, is and definitely a baby mama of Suge Knight's, was arrested and indicted on criminal conspiracy charges because she sold a videotape of the Tams shooting to TMZ for $55,000 a couple of years ago. Nobody knew whether or not she knew. She did finally know because it's in the evidence that it was a sealed tape, that the tape was supposed to be kept private. It wasn't ever supposed to be aired publicly, but they did it. And apparently, according to the indictment, they did it knowing that it was supposed to be sealed, that it was part of a court record that no one was supposed to see. It was evidence. And now she's getting hit with obstruction of justice. She's getting hit with conspiracy to commit crime. And it's an ugly scene for sure.
Get his ankle bracelet off at this
Oh
point?
yeah, well that's other news too. Okay, so another news while everybody's digesting the thing about Suge, we'll talk about Reggie Sr. for a minute. Did I send that to you? Did I send the Reggie Sr. Motion over to you? I can get that over to you. It's no problem. The Reggie Wright indictment, is still pending. Reggie Jr. is looking at their, cutting a deal, doing something with the DA's office. Meanwhile, Reggie Wright Sr. has decided that he doesn't want to have that ankle bracelets on anymore. He wants to actually have. I just sent that over to you, Jess. Reggie Sr. has made a motion to his attorney that the conditions of his probation change and that he get his ankle monitoring bracelet off his ankle that provides electronic location monitoring to them. Now, what's interesting is that now all of a sudden the defense attorney is rolling out Reggie Wright Jr. Sr. has never been convicted of anything. He's never been charged with anything. He is a 40-year member of law enforcement and blah, blah, blah. And trying to trot that out like that's a reason to just cut him loose and let him go. Well, listen, cops just don't wake up one day and decide in their retirement that they're going to start selling drugs. Okay, it doesn't work that way. This was a 4-year-long investigation, and during the middle of this investigation, Reggie Wright Sr. was still working as an LA County sheriff. He was doing it under color of law. So I can imagine the prosecutors' objections, and they even said in that motion that the prosecutors had objections to it. But Reggie Wright Sr. is asking for them to take off that ankle bracelet because he don't like it. It's cramping his style. Can't go to the disco. It's kind of hard to dance around if you got an ankle bracelet on. It's harder to deal drugs too, I'm sure.
And what you guys are seeing right here is the update on Reggie Wright Sr., what RJ was just talking about with the ankle bracelet and wanting to get off of the ankle bracelet. Here's the document. I will also link that on the archived version of this live stream, just so everybody has it. And I just want to personally opine and say that I think that it's a low move what they're doing to Toyline Kelly. You can tell by the indictment. They list all of the text back and forth, and it would appear to the layman, it appears to me, that she was following orders of an attorney. Like I said, David Kenner is mentioned, and it does reference a couple other people that she was talking to. So it's going to be a tough case, in my opinion, to prove. If someone's going under the discretion of their attorney or on the advice of an attorney, it could be a plausible defense for Miss Kelly. But a $2 million bail, $200,000 cash to get out, to me is beyond excessive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, $2 million for selling a videotape. I mean, fucking Reggie Wright Sr., Reggie Wright Jr. are on several federal indictments on an interstate drug trafficking and money laundering indictment, not selling a damn videotape, but on actually hurting people's lives by selling drugs and doing money laundering. They're actually hurting somebody. They're actually crimes involving drugs and illegal narcotics movement, and they get a $50,000 fucking bail. Toyline Kelly sells a videotape to TMZ, $2 million bail. I mean, does anybody else smell the bullshit here? I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's crazy to me that these guys are putting this stuff out. I'm going to send you something else here, Jess, real quick while I'm thinking about it here. I'm sending something to you. And this is also, I want to put it out to the fans too. This is also part of the problem. I don't know if you can put that up there or not, and we could talk about that for a minute. Did you get it? Yeah, see if you can toss that up there.
All right, it's going to take at least about a minute and a half to do. But
no, that's fine. No problem. You got to realize, and the problem is that most of these people that are in the prosecutor's office are people that have been around for 20 years. I mean, these people didn't just suddenly become prosecutors. They were clerks at the prosecutor's office, or they were junior prosecutors, assistant prosecutors. All of these people had roles in the prosecutor's office, and judges that are in the court system now in the LA County court system were formerly prosecutors. In fact, that's the DA's kind of job path, the career path. You become a DA, then you become a judge in the LA County system. And a lot of the judges that are temporary judges or sit-in judges, they're prosecutors themselves. So it's certainly a cozy relationship that they have there, for sure. But when you look at Suge Knight, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of, gee, we would have liked to have had him on this, or gee, we would have liked to have had him on that, and a lot of missed opportunities, I think, from the DA's office. And now that they've got Suge, they're trying to make this murder case stick. It's falling apart around their ears because witnesses are changing their minds. Witnesses say anything. And by the way, you don't have to bribe witnesses to get them to change their minds, right, Jess? I mean, this is the thing. People's stories change all the time. In the entire Tupac murder investigation, you got people saying one thing, and then they say something different, and then they say something else. Nobody's being bribed. I mean, Trayvon Lane, didn't get bribed to tell Tim Brennan that, well, he was kidding about the Lakewood Mall, chain snatch, that the actual chain never got snatched. I mean, nobody paid him to say that. So, I think that the fact that they're saying that the attorney is running around bribing people to testify for Suge, I think that that's a really weak allegation. I think that they're fishing, and I think that it's because people are changing their stories. And you and I know from being around the beat for the last 10 years, That's just what these clowns do. They see one thing in the heat of the moment, and then 2 years later, they don't remember all the details they remembered before, and they certainly don't remember if somebody told them to say something, what it is they were expected to say. So you get a hard time recalling details. And when the prosecutors see that, they were so cocksure at the beginning that all these people were going to say, oh yeah, he did this and that. Well, when people come back and they go, well, I'm not really sure, maybe he did this, maybe he did that, I don't remember, that you start to watch your case disintegrate. And I think that's where they're at, and I think it's panic time.
Well, it was a death blow to him when Sloan refused to testify against Suge Knight.
Yep.
Did you want to take
And
some questions from everybody, or did?
yeah, absolutely. Yep. Did you
Sorry,
get that
guys,
picture up?
forgive this. We got the breaking news, and we just wanted to broadcast it live to you as soon as we got it, and we were able to vet it.
Did you get that picture up for me?
Yeah, I had the picture up there for a while. You want it back up?
Yeah, please.
Okay, one sec.
I can't see it until it gets up on the screen, so there's always a delay.
There it is.
All right. So what I see is, there it is. Okay. Now this was taken out of Tim Brennan's book called Once Upon a Time in Compton, but I want you to see this. Look at this picture for a minute. This is a picture of Tim Brennan is the guy on the end with the green shirt. He's kind of, the shit-eating grin. But if you look at who's in this picture, they're clearly at a party. They're clearly partying together, probably some drinking going on. But look at this. Superior Court Judge Eleanor Hunter, Commissioner Superior Court. The fucking commissioner of the Superior Court is sitting there having booze and having a good time with Tim Brennan, the cop, and a bunch of DAs. And you got DA May Chung, head deputy DA Maria Ramirez, deputy DA Marianne Escalante Ness. I mean, he's putting all their names out there. I don't really know that was really a genius move for him to do, to put a name out there of all these people. And he's name dropping them because he knows them so well. The fact they're having a good old time. Doesn't look to you like they're having fun, Jess? They're having a good time at that birthday party.
It does. And now, is this the same team that led the murder rap squad in quotations?
Well, no, I mean, Tim Brennan, no, these have nothing to do with police departments at all. These are fucking judges and commissioners. These are judges. You got the cops hanging out with fucking judges and district attorneys. I mean, there's supposed to be some propriety. There's supposed to be some professional distance between a cop and a DA and a judge. I mean, what do you think the outcome is going to be if Tim Brennan has all these people there and he's friends with all these judges? What do you think the outcome is going to be if you get arrested by Tim Brennan? It's probably going to be prosecuted by Deputy DA Marianne Escalante Nazer, or Head Deputy District Attorney Maria Ramirez, or maybe Deputy District Attorney May Chung. All these DAs, any one of them will take a case, and then they'll probably sit in front of Superior Court Judge Eleanor Hunter's desk, and maybe run by the commissioner of the Superior Court, who runs all the judges. Okay?
It would appear that the game is rigged.
Yeah, I would say, and this is coming out of his brag book. This is out of Tim Brennan's book. Okay? So, I would say that when we talked in Battle for Compton a lot about how the system has been rigged a certain way. And all you got to do now is look at it. I mean, this kind of says it all right there. And, of course, if this guy doesn't like Suge Knight, let's say Tim Brennan doesn't like Suge Knight, how many people does he have in his back pocket just from the birthday party that can help him out? Okay, now I'm not accusing any of them of being corrupt, but, I mean, it does kind of paint a very, very, very unwelcome picture. Kind of like the Ted Cruz picture of recent, that appearances can be very, very damning, and this is certainly one of them.
Are you talking about old Lion Ted posting up the porn like on his Twitter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're after that, and yet here you got guys putting in their books pictures of him hanging out with all these prosecutors, all of these Marianne Escalante Nazer, DA Maria Ramirez, Deputy DA May Chung, May Santos, Judge Eleanor Hunter, Commissioner Superior Court. I mean, good Lord. I mean, I don't know who the dudes are in the back, but maybe they're judges too. I don't know. Maybe they're the cops. But I'm just looking at the relationship between all these players. So there's clearly some tight clique going on within the LA County DA's office, and Tim Brennan and the Compton PD tend to have a little bit of a flow there. And if we're right, and Suge Knight was truly a victim even back then, and the sheriff tried to get him at the One Oak Club, none of this is happening by surprise, for sure.
And I came to the realization as I was reading this indictment, if they were tapping or following Toyline Kelly's phone, then there's a high probability that my phone was being intercepted during that whole period, which is a little unsettling to know with these people having my information out there just being an interviewer.
Yeah, but I think they would. I don't know that they would be hailing your phone unless she said, do you want to buy the videotape? Now, I do know that there were some negotiations. I don't think you were part of it, Jess, but I mean, there were negotiations. I mean, and maybe this will hang old Thaddeus Culpepper, because Thaddeus Culpepper was running around trying to sell Suge Knight's story to the highest bidder, tried to get Michael Carlin involved with making that Suge Knight documentary that had everything to do with it. Michael was talking with Toyline Kelly. Michael was talking with Thaddeus Culpepper about it and making the movie and all that. So I mean, if that documentary was that Tams footage was truly sealed information and truly I'm sure that there are a lot of people that have used that footage not knowing the difference. But if somebody who knew the difference said, hey, that's fine, you can use our footage in your documentary, you can use that Tams footage in the documentary. If that ever passed hands like that, that could be problematic for a lot of people who are kind of innocent in this whole thing.
Exactly. And back to my point, I tell you what, when they do Snowden release this, and it's well publicized, it's called incidental collection, that when they collect information off your phone, even people that are not involved in the crime, it's called incidental collection. They collect it all. So if they collect one text message, they collect them all.
Yep.
And
Hey,
to my point, that could hinder if they collected Toyline Kelly's personal cell phone logs and information, that could hinder Suge Knight's defense on the Tams case.
Yeah. Well, if my phone is tapped, then they know I'm talking to Robert Soria. That's for sure, because I just talked to him today a little bit. He says to say hello. We're trying to get in to talk with him right now. This is his breaking as of today. We're trying to get in to talk with him with an attorney, because the biggest problem that I've had with Robert is that I've never had a personal conversation with him that's not being bugged, that's not being recorded. And because of that, and because of the people that are in the prison with him right now, he is basically saying, there's a lot he can't say. But he basically told me, and I probably should have taped it, maybe I will next time we talk, that there's going to be a lot of shit that's going to come down when he gets out of prison, because he's tired of everybody saying all the shit that he has, and he can't give details about a lot of stuff. But when he comes out, all the fucking details are coming out. So, it may be a year or two before that happens, but you know what? A year or two goes by pretty fast these days. And, maybe the chickens will come home to roost. So again, stay tuned on these things. But yeah, I was just because asked if I had found the information from Robert about how he met the Pattons. I haven't even looked for it, to be honest with you. I know I have it, but I just haven't looked for it. All About Asia could not make or receive calls. He can talk to his one attorney. That's the attorney they're trying to decide. That's Mark Fletcher. That's the one that they're trying to decide right now whether or not he's going to continue to converse with or through, because he's in on this, or allegedly in on this witness tampering charge.
And to add to that, I mean, there's been recent court hearings over this summer months where he's been denied access to investigators. He's limited to one attorney. They won't let him have the team of lawyers that he's requesting. They're doing everything that they can to stifle this man and make sure that he just doesn't see real justice. What our real justice system is based on, and that is, did this person do it without a shadow of a reasonable doubt that they didn't?
Okay, and by the way, Juan Garcia there saying 2 years job security, telling stories. No, dude. See, that's where you got it wrong, and that's where you and people like you are going to be seriously messed up because the problem is the devil in the details. And when you're on a prison telephone on a recorded line, you're not going to be giving up details about how crimes were committed. When you are by yourself and you're without, or maybe in front of an attorney that can't talk about it, or you're outside of prison, then you can give up those details. But right now, all we have are broad strokes about things and not the details that are critical. And the reason we don't have the critical details is because, again, he's in a position where there are people that are inside right now that may know some of the people on the outside. He doesn't want to give anything up until he's clearly out of that situation where he's kind of got a target painted on his back. And again, the devil's in the details.
Yeah, and Robert Soria is close to coming home. And trust me, from somebody who spent a couple days in jail, there's nothing you want to say on a jailhouse phone that gives him any reason to keep you there, not a second longer.
Yep.
Look, we want to appreciate everybody coming on. Unless RJ wanted to take a few questions, this is going to be the broadcast for today. But just as always, as soon as we find out news concerning Suge Knight or Reggie Wright Jr., or any of these cases, we want to break it to you live as long as it's vetted and we can verify that it's true. We're all about bringing you the actual sources and the actual breaking news when it comes to these cases. I have a personal dog in this fight. I think Toyline Kelly is being targeted because of who she's with. I don't think that anybody else would have been charged with this, and I find it very hard to believe that if this is the crime that they're alleging, this conspiracy to commit a crime, how TMZ is going to come out of this unscathed unless they're cooperating.
Okay. Well, all right. So, everybody, no, I think that's it. I think we pretty much covered it up. That's the news flash for the day. Also, Reggie Sr. in court asking to have his ankle monitor taken off so that he doesn't have to be electronically monitored anymore. I think if that actually flies, I think that's a problem. But the U.S. Attorney's Office is arguing pretty stringently against it. If we have any more about that, we'll break in and give it the breaking news as it happens. Shout out to Bob's big boy, and peace out, homies.
As always, thank you, RJ, for coming on, and thank everybody for checking out the stream. We'll see you on the next one.